This is Unit 6, Lesson 3 of our Pre-Calc 12 class. Unit 6 is on conic shapes. Lesson 3 is starting to talk about ellipses, or an ellipse. And so that's our third shape on this. If I take my conic and I cut it at somewhat of a diagonal, but I still hit all the edges of a cone, then we create kind of a stretched circle. So we're going to talk about that shape. What is an ellipse? What does the graph look like? Starting with the equation. So here's our general conic equation, and we can create two sneezes. All right, cool. We can create an ellipse from our conic equation by making sure that b and a are not equal, and then making sure that a and b are both positive or both negative. And whatever they are, E would be the opposite. So if A and B are both positive, make E negative, or if A and B are both negative, make E positive. If you meet those conditions, then you'll create an ellipse. Quadrantodesmos. Let's see here. So here's our general conic form equation for an ellipse. So we have x minus h squared divided by a squared plus y minus k squared divided by b squared equals 1. So hk represents the center of the ellipse, and then we can kind of, since it's kind of like a circle, but the a and the b values stretch this graph vertically and horizontally. Whatever a is kind of determines how wide this ellipse is, and whatever b is determines how tall the ellipse is. And so if we use those, we can determine how tall and how wide our ellipse is. Again, think of it as like a smushed circle. Okay. So if you look at some examples, where is the center of these ellipses? Well, if we have x minus 3 squared and we have y squared, then the h value is positive 3 and the k value is 0. So the center of the first ellipse will be at 3, 0. The second example, we have x plus 5 squared and we have y minus 1 squared. So the center of this ellipse would be negative 5, positive 1. Okay, and so the vertical and horizontal axes of each ellipse, since, for example, A, since the x term is divided by 16, or 4 squared, our A value is going to be 4. And since our y term is divided by 25, or 5 squared, our b value is going to be 5. And so, because a is 4, we're going to have our axes, our horizontal axis is going to be 8, or 4 from the center to the right and 4 from the center to the left. And because our b value is 5, our height of this ellipse is going to be 10, or 5 up from the center and 5 down from the center, creating an ellipse that's taller than it is wide. Example B, our a value is 3, which we get from 9 is 3 squared, and then 4 is 2 squared, so our b value is 2. So it's going to be 2 tall, 2 above and 2 below the center, and it's going to be 3 to the right and 3 to the left of the center of our a value, so it's going to be 4 tall and 6 wide. So the example A is kind of like smushed this way, example B smushed that way. That's it. When you do your assignment, you're going to hear the terms major and minor axes. So just keep in mind, whatever the bigger axis is the major, and whichever one's the smaller axis is going to be the minor. And so, for example A, it was wider, so the horizontal axis would be the major, vertical would be the minor. For example B, it was smushed vertically, so the vertical axis is bigger, so that's the major, and the horizontal will be the minor. Another note, for if you're looking at the A's and B values, I keep my A value as my horizontal axis and my B value as my vertical axis. Delta math, when you look at the example problems, they're going to make A the value of the major axis and B the minor axis, and they switch back and forth depending on which one's major, which one's minor. So if you're looking at your A's and your B's from my notes to your assignment, they don't quite line up, so just make note of that. As far as which way you should do, I prefer my way. Try them both out, see which way you prefer, and just go with whichever one you like.